Hi there, I'm Amar. Welcome to Life Unscripted. Real conversations, unscripted journeys. We are recording from Empire Podcast Studio, where the quality that you see is the quality that you get. So, messages for collaborations. We'll help you broadcast your podcast. On to our guest today, Mr. Johan Ishak, CEO, writer, songwriter, artist, and all-rounder, one would say. Johan Ishak, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. So, where shall we begin?
Maybe childhood.
Childhood?
That's all.
Let's
That's
go
where it all begins.
all
normally.
the way to the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So, where are you from, Johan?
I was born in Penang.
Orang Penang.
Yes.
All right.
But then the family migrated to Selangor, KL
Okay.
Selangor.
So, who has better food, Penang or KL?
Oh, Penang, definitely. Definitely. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So, which part of Penang?
Glugo is somewhere near USM.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, at what age did you move to KL?
I think probably the age of 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how often do you go back to Penang now?
Those days, almost every year for Hari Raya. But as the traffic grew over the years, so we skip few years and only every 3 years or so we go back.
Okay.
Nowadays, we don't go back at all unless there's a funeral to attend. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, how much of who Johan Ishak is formed because you're a Penangite, and how much is it's because you grew up in Selangor? Because I can kind of relate to this a little bit. My own mom was from Kedah. So she was born and raised in Kedah almost all her life, and she only came here when she was 17. So a lot of her values has always been that very Malaysian Kedahan viewpoint. So my food and everything else is very Malay, but I'm not Malay. So it's very confusing for other Indians to say like, what's wrong with you? But because my mom's upbringing is from Kedah. So it's a different perspective of how I see Malaysia. So how much of being from Penang?
Food is a good start. I love Indian food. I love curry. I love tandoori. And I love this daging hitam that Penangites normally cook. Right? But I think in light of the current ethnic climate in Malaysia, where we can see we are polarized to a worrying level, right? I see that my upbringing from Penang has helped me not to be too sensitive about ethnicity, right? Because if you talk to any Penangite, whether they are Malays or Chinese or Indian, we have a different relationship altogether in Penang compared to the other states. My opinion, maybe some other people may have different opinion. So much so that, you see, the Muslims in Klang Valley, for them is very worrying if they go to a Chinese restaurant, for example, right? In Penang, we don't worry. As long as there's no pork,
Right.
they just go. Yeah. So the Chinese will go to the Malay shops, the Malay will go to the Chinese shop. Right. So it didn't matter to us. So I think Penang's culture, being a melting pot of the various ethnicity, has helped me, has helped shaped who I am today in terms of tolerance, assimilation of the different ethnicity within the society we live in.
Right. And I think that's very important because one of the reasons I want to do a podcast right now is because I'm not too prone when people say like, no, we need to center the Malaysian Indian agenda or the Malaysian Chinese agenda. I know I want to center the Malaysian agenda because I don't identify as anything else other than Malaysian. I think Tony Fernandez once said, when they ask him to tick the race column, he'll just put there Malaysian. I think that's where we should head, right? Yeah. And that's what uniquely makes us Malaysian. So in your journey of being the boss of entertainment on various entertainment companies, right? How much of that agenda played into, giving programs or creating content or nurturing content towards in that direction?
I was in very fortunate situations, right? Because as you know, many of the government policies, right, has got tendencies to focus on Bumi Putra agenda, right? And when I led a few of the organizations in the creative industries, um, there is no need to force that focus because the demography of the industry is so much reflecting the population composition of the country. The creative industry generally in Malaysia is 60-70% Malays, right? And the remaining the non-Malays, right? So there is no worry to force yourself to focus on that because inherently it's already there in terms of the majority of who the beneficiaries would be for any government initiatives that I was managing, right? I remember once the Prime Minister back then, Datuk Sri Najib, he sort of whispered to me at one of the events of my creative ventures. I was a CEO. So he whispered to me, can I say it in Malay? And because that's how he said it to me. Johan, muka Melayu saja semua. Mana muka India, mana muka China.
Right.
So where are the Indian faces and the Chinese faces? Because he wanted it to be inclusive, right? So I didn't know what to say to him because it wasn't purposely done, So I told him, it wasn't purposely done. So it's so happened that the composition of people in the industry has got a lot more Malays. So those who came and requested or submitted their loan application and all that were majority Malays. And so happened that year, the event when we announced the recipient of the loans from My Creative, there were a lot of Malay faces. Yeah,
So, Datuk Sri Najib, I've had some other experiences with him as well. He's very truly that one Malaysia agenda was really he was very true about it, and I've seen it play out in many things. And going on into talking more into the creative industry's polarization. So I was in Malaysia until 2012. I was actively involved in the film and TV industry, and I would do Tamil series, and my crew would all be Malay. My ADs would be Chinese. So all my scripts would have Malay, English, Tamil. I spent the extra money for that because for me, I really believe in that inclusion. And I would do very strong grassroots Malay drama. Like I did one called Tujuh Gerhana. And it was about the tribulations of a Malay family and there'll be surau scenes and everything else, and it was well received. Because I grew up in such an environment and I don't see it being different. I left the industry and the country for about 12 years. And I came back. And I don't quite recognize the platform anymore. I'm like, it's so very, very polarized. And having been the head of television networks of Media Prima and all these other creative ventures, why do you think it's gone to that state now?
It's all driven by the source of revenue. So if we talk about the TV stations in Malaysia, particularly Media Prima stations, when I was the CEO of Media Prima Network, so we had 4 TV stations, TV3, 8TV, TV9, and TV7. When we analyzed earlier, even before I became the CEO, the CEO before me, my predecessors, they analyzed the industry and the composition of where the ADEX, short form for advertising expenditure, is being channeled, right? We could see that the trend was to push to mainly 2 markets at that time, the Malay market and the Chinese market, not so much of the Indian market. So management had to make a decision based on that, based on economic factors. So hence the creation of a Chinese channel called 8TV, or in Chinese it's called Pa Tu Kong Qian, for the mass Chinese market. And of course TV3 has always been mass Malay market. And TV9 is probably a younger mass Malay. And TV7 is supposed to be the more inclusive, where it's supposed to be Malaysian TV station, right? So when I came on board, even NTV7 was converted into a Chinese channel, right? So when I came on board, I changed back NTV7 into a Malaysian channel, which it was initially before Media Prima acquired it. the era of Spanajaya. People remember NTV7 for Spanajaya those days. So I changed it back to a Malaysian channel. I did Spanajaya X, which is the resurrection of Spanajaya. And to my surprise, the model of Malaysian channel didn't work. So I had to convert it back to a Chinese channel. Then only it helped economically. So I wouldn't say it's purposely done, other than the intention of the economic well-being of the corporation. Yeah.
So going back to the economics, so recently I had the opportunity to meet one of the directors who filmed a very popular Indian superstar called Vijay. I met the director personally in an event, and I found out that outside of India, Malaysia is the second largest South Indian market.
Yes. True.
Now, the thing is, there aren't that many Indians here. So a lot of it is coming from the Malay segment. I have people within my own household. My girlfriend is Malay. She watches Tamil shows, and I know my partners watch Tamil shows, and it's a big craze. Now, being from the industry, if I say it, people say I'm biased, right? But your viewpoint, why is it when it's so Chinese content, Malaysian Chinese content is accepted by Malaysian Chinese, and I know some of the content is being sold to Hong Kong and Taiwan and everything else. Why is it when it comes to Malaysian Indian content, it doesn't fare so well, but when it's an Indian content from India, it comes here, it just...
Okay. Now, just to give you empirical evidence of that statement is true, that the Indian content is popular amongst Malays, right? When I was in TV3, obviously the Hindi movies, did well, right? But the Malay dramas did even better. Okay. But when I became the MD of Awesome TV, subsequent to that, slightly change in the behavior of the viewers, right? We find that the Hindi films gain better viewers than the Malay dramas for some reason, right? Maybe because TV3 is so well accepted across the grassroots, and in the kampung and all that. So you can't see that much momentum in the Hindi, although it is quite strong. But for Awesome TV, yes. So much so that one of the strategies that I embarked on was to fight the number one entertainment show in the country, which is called Anugerah Juara Lagu. On TV3. It garners about 3 million viewers on that single night every year. So when I was in Awesome TV, I had to figure out what do I need to fight, to this Anugerah Juara Lagu. So we dropped an atom bomb. It's called Kabikushi Kabigam. It destroyed the viewership of Anugerah Juara Lagu for that particular year, from 3 million to maybe about 1.5, I think. Cannot remember, but that's significant, right? So in the Awesome TV, there are two genres of content that fetch really well viewership, particularly amongst the Malay audience. It would be the Hindi films, as well as P. Ramlee. Yeah, so those two never fail, regardless of how many times you repeat on TV.
Right.
Yeah.
So speaking about P. Ramlee, I mean, everybody in Malaysia loves P. Ramlee. My father, my mother, both passed. My grandmother passed. When there was a P. Ramlee movie, it would be favored over an Indian movie, and we'd all watch. This is before there was Astro, whatever it is. And because it really spoke, he was a true Malaysian filmmaker. Maybe you see P. Ramlee, his producers were Chinese, the director was Indian, and P. Ramlee was a star. Very much to what's happening in Indonesia. Producers are Chinese, the directors are Ram Punjabi families mostly, and the stars are all the Malaysian. Why can't we replicate that P. Ramlee's thing now? I mean, we are more aware, there's more mediums, and intermarriages is a Malaysian thing. You can't really say one Malaysian you can't really pinpoint, right? So why can't we replicate that now, do you think?
P. Ramlee is a phenomenon. You can't really use the P. Ramlee model and extrapolate it to any era at all, because he's a genius, right? So you only have people like him once every, I don't know, 5 decades or whatever, right? So why I think Piramli is ahead of the rest during his time, and it is still relevant until today, is because I get this information from my conversation with Arwah, the late Aziz Sata, who was together with Piramli in the many Bujang Lapok franchise of films, right? So I did ask him, how did you guys do it? So for them, he said, well, there wasn't much hard work, because whatever was in the script was whatever was in the script, only 40% came out in the final movie, because the 60% of it was spontaneous there and then. So you can see that it is from the genius of their humor, right? Of that time. And what made the humor of that time still relevant until today is because it is based on the society's what do you call culture, or society's nuances, particularly between the different ethnic group, right? So they could make fun of it, but yet nobody gets offended, because it is the society's composition anyway at that time. For example, you all have the Punjabi to be the jaga, in the Piramli's movies. So people don't get offended, right? Because it was the composition of the culture back then. But today is different, because you've got a lot more Punjabis who are in legal profession, for example, or medical. And if you don't put Punjabis as doctors or as lawyers in content, you put them still as jaga, it will cause problem.
Right.
But Piramli got away with it because it was the nuances of the ethnicity back then.
Of that time period.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting say. But so, where do you think the future of our overall Malaysian entertainment is headed right now? You see, there's Malay entertainment, and then there's Malaysian entertainment. It used to be, I would say, it was a bit blurred before, because I come from the era of Sudirman and everything else. I mean, I remember if it was a Sudirman concert and we aired live on TV, everything would be shut down. We just watched Sudirman. And then I grew up, because I come from a very strong Malay influence, I followed Malay trends, Awi and everybody else, and so on and so forth. But the content has gotten to a point where it's too Malay-centric, where if you're not from a very grassroots, basic Malay thing, you won't be able to resonate. My viewpoint, I don't think it's good for the industry as an overall, because you need to satisfy a bigger audience, like what we see with South Indian shows, or KGF, for example. I didn't even like KGF. And then I had Malay friends, it's an amazing show, And I'm like, oh my God, it was so well here. The guy came here twice. And Korean shows are so good. Again, still not my cup of tea. But we take that concept and we make it as our own. So again, proof is in the pudding that language and culture is not a barrier. It's the diversification of your content, right? Even Hollywood can't match up to what South Indian movies or even Korean movies are doing right now. So to me, the whole 100% Malay agenda trend is not good for the country. It's not good for the artists, because I see a lot of our artists, and frankly speaking, some of the artist friends that I left 12 years ago are no longer artists, or they are struggling artists, and they're selling burger, or buka bazar Ramadan. And this used to be leads, heroes, and things like that, people that I actually hired to do. It's sad that it's in the state, and I see some of them dah asnaf. I'm like, aduh, sedihnya. So I believe if this doesn't change, we will see this getting worse over time, to the point where even right now, I don't think our industry is preferred, because we contribute to less than 1 to 2% of total tax revenue. So we're not the preferred child.
Yeah.
So, but if nothing changes, then it's going to be a certain demise, because the foreign entities are going to come in and tell us how to do our content.
Oh, definitely, that is the big issue. So I think how I will respond to your salient points earlier is from three perspectives. Let's talk about the easier, the smaller one in terms of the whole framework, right? Chinese, let's talk about Chinese. Back then in 2009, the Malaysian Chinese viewers prefer to watch Malaysian produced Chinese content. So the production houses in Malaysia, they were able to produce local Chinese content, right? This is the start of 8TV, Patu Gongqian, right? But then when I took over as the CEO of 8TV, that has changed. They no longer want to watch Malaysian produced Chinese content. Yes, a shift in behavior, right? They want to watch Hong Kong, or even China made,
China.
At that time, even Korean hasn't become popular yet, right? So now when I look at the numbers, I believe it has gone diluted further, right? Because the people who watch content on TV, Chinese content on TV, is becoming older, right? And the younger audience are not watching TV. Okay, it's true for the Chinese. It's also true for everyone, but not necessarily the Malays. I have got a different statistic for the Malays. So that's Chinese, right? So let's talk about the Malays, right? The Malays, the Malays who were born in the earlier years, the years where there was no SPM, there was MCE, LCE, right? The medium was English. And then when it became the SPMs and the SRPs, the medium became Bahasa Malaysia. I don't know whether it's called Bahasa Malaysia or Bahasa Melayu now. They kept on changing, right? So Bahasa Melayu, Bahasa Malaysia, whatever it was, or it is, right?
Right.
So those people who were educated in the new curriculum back then were less proficient in English, unless they were from schools in KL and Penang that are originally Christian, what do you call, institutions, like St. John's and all that. Then they speak better English, right? So much so that the mass Malay market has become less proficient in English and become more Malay language oriented, right? So that is when we see the change in the genre of the TV content in the space of maybe 2 decades, right? So when I was in school, after news, it would be English programs at 8 o'clock or 8:30, or no, actually 9 o'clock.
Yes, on TV2.
No, actually any station at all. So it would be the Night Riders, the 18,
Right, correct.
right? The
Airwolves.
the MacGyver, the Airwolves, and all that. So it's very much Western oriented.
Correct.
But somehow I went to Australia for 7 years to study and work. When I came back, all of that gone. So it became Malay drama. It's Malay drama 9 o'clock, Malay drama 10 o'clock. It's just Malay all the way. And because majority of the viewers from the Malay segment, they want to watch that. So I think it's because of the generation that's gone through the education system has now become less proficient in English, right? Now, so that's Malay and Chinese. I cannot speak so much about the Indians because they are smaller market. So when we did the analysis, it wasn't worth to open a TV station for Indian, whether it's Tamil or Hindi or whatever. You still have it on Astro, though, right? Okay. Now we talk about the overall viewship. So this is where I would like to condemn, if that's the right word, not too negative, in the connotation, the foreign media companies that has conquered the entire planet.
Right.
Okay. I categorize them as BAT and FANG. BATFANG. So FANG is the Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google.
Right.
BAT is the Baidu, Alibaba. What's T? Tencent or whatever, right?
Right.
There are a lot more than that, especially when we have TikTok and all that. But the start of it all is the FANG and the BAT. BAT FANG, bats have fangs, right? So that's how I remember it. Okay. So what has happened is that the advertising industry has shifted their thinking process, right? It used to be very right brain oriented, where it's very creative in its advertising or marketing concepts. This is the year when you see Salem High Country, you see Lucky Strikes, you're looking very
Dunhill.
very cool smoking. Lucky Strike, Dunhill, even the semi-pro football was Dunhill.
More Jutaria, Marlboro.
More Jutaria. But it's a lot more of the creative process, the heydays of Leo Burnett and what have you, right? And in fact, if you want to see how it was back then, you should watch the TV series called Mad Men, right?
Yes.
It's very much how it was in the 80s and 90s.
It's available in one of the fangs on Netflix. Actually.
Yes. But what happened is that when the market has applied more mathematics, right? They created matrices for efficiency of marketing dollars. So it shifted from the right brain to the left brain. So it's no longer about how you portray a particular branding of the products. It is about efficiency of every dollar spent. Cost of marketing divided by eyeballs. That's generally the formula. But when you apply it to digital, you call the CPC, CPV. Cost per CPM, click, cost per millennium, or cost per thousand, cost per click, cost per view, cost per whatever. So it became very mathematical, very, very KPI based in the corporate world.
Is gone.
The art is gone. So the chief marketing officers of the corporate world, they have shifted their performance indicators, right? So it's gone that way. And then, of course, Facebook, Google, YouTube, and those similar to it has conquered the whole planet. So they can do economies of scale of their investments, whether it's in content or technology, to spread across the globe rather than particular countries. So when we spend for the creative content in Malaysia, and it is very Malaysian-centric, so you can only divide it or dilute it or take economies of scale only to the extent of the country, whereas Facebook, Google, YouTube to the whole entire planet. So that's when you see the shift of the edX or advertisement expenditure going to digital. And the sad thing is not Malaysian digital. Malaysian digital maybe counts for about 20%. 80% of the Malaysian digital edX has gone to this bad fang or foreign social medias and what have you. Digital mainly, right? So the numbers would be 10 years ago, maybe around, now it's 2023, so maybe 2013, you would see TV advertising being the biggest at 2 billion ringgit per year. And this is cash, after minusing all the discounts given.
Wow.
2 billion if you try to combine the revenue in Media Prima, Astro, RTM, and the whole lot, you get 2 billion. Now, that has gone down to about 750 million. So 55% has shifted to digital. So now digital that used to be minimal, virtually nothing back then, now it's already 1.6 billion. And the sad thing about that is, then I hope certain ministers who are listening to this will take affirmative actions for the sake of the country. 1.6 billion ringgit of edX from local companies to foreign companies. And when you use the media from the foreign companies, when you get invoices from, I know because I use some of them, right? But when I get invoices from them, it is not in Malaysia. It's from Singapore, it's from Ireland, it's from whatever countries. You pay, the money goes outside the country, and God knows what they record in their books in Malaysia. I was quite shocked when I bought certain companies' audited accounts from SSM. I don't want to mention which company, all right? So I bought it and I look at it and I was shocked to see that the revenue that they report is just like 1 million or 500,000, which means that a lot of money has gone out. And it's for sure it went out because when I use the digital platform, the invoices from outside Malaysia. So can you imagine 1.6 billion times 25%, let's say 25% is the tax rate, the average tax rate for corporations, or whatever it is now, 24 or whatever. So much, it's like 400 million ringgit is leaked from government's revenue. 400 million is a lot
this
of
is
money.
A perspective that people don't see.
See. The ministers need to see this. They need to take action in terms of protectionism. Now, many people will disagree with me because why do you need to protect Malaysian company? We need to be open market, yes, but open market only if you prepared to accept that the local businesses will be affected negatively. Proton wouldn't be here today if Proton didn't go through protectionism for the past.
Wow, Mahathir did that for about 20 years, I think.
More than that. More? Protectionism for Proton was since 1983 to 1986, I think.
Yeah, 86.
To all the way to after the turn of the millennium. Only during Dato Sri Najib's time that he stopped giving aids to
So about
proper
22, 23 years, I think.
well, 30 years maybe, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's something that needs to be rectified, and that's the story that links back to the when you say just now, it's sad to see that the creative industry is not taken care of economically. It's because of that. So affirmative actions need to be taken. We're not the first country to do that if we do take actions, because I think Singapore, Australia, they do take some actions against the foreign media companies. China is very worse because they ban it. Right? Yeah.
So what you said, this is very enlightening in the sense that I personally, every month, pay about $200 out of pocket for various services, from music to
Spotify
online,
and what have you.
Spotify, YouTube now, because if you watch a regular YouTube, you're just going to be spammed with ads. And my son goes like, "Dad, why is there so many ads?" So I get YouTube Premium.
Yeah.
The Netflix has jacked up their price. Netflix charges me in USD. So that's like $30. And that's for 4K you got to pay for. So it's adding up. I actually stopped Amazon and everything else. But Apple gives me the subscription for free.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I never saw this money going there. Now, I thought I was contributing to the Malaysian economics because my girlfriend likes to watch View. So I thought, View is a Malaysian thing. But no, it's not. It's from Hong Kong.
Yes, it is from Hong Kong. You are right. It is from Hong Kong. Yeah.
So, but they are spearheading Malaysian content in that sense, that the budget that they're giving and everything else. So, I mean, I left the industry and I became a full-fledged business coach. I analyze business for a living. Otherwise, I would have been an Asnaf by now. And the trend is, unless there is some serious affirmative action from, like you said, from the powers that may be, I don't see this getting better for the industry in any way, shape, or form. And if the foreign markets have a say, then they'll dictate how much our artists get paid, what roles they should do, what values they should portray, because we're trying so hard to protect the so-called Malaysian values. We'll lose that. Eventually, we lose the identity as a country, right? Like if you see Hollywood movies right now are not so great because they're all funded by China.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you see, Vin Diesel is basically owned by China.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If Fast and Furious 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, I don't know, 25. It's the same thing. And you can see it's like, John Cena, his movie is very China-based. So you can see like even Hollywood has lost its essence because of foreign interference.
Yes. Yeah.
What more? Us.
The Malaysian. Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
I see this trend also happening with South Indian movies because Amazon has a strong foothold. There's all the movies there. Amazon has gone like, you know what? I give you the money. You air for 1 month on your cinemas and then it's mine.
Yeah.
And the stars are doing it because it's big payday and they can do whatever they want. But it's not going to fare well. But economically, like what you said, that's a huge profit that's been siphoned out from 2 billion to 750. So I know a lot of people are not getting Astro subscriptions, especially with the younger generation. The younger generation watches View. If it's not View, and if it's on Astro, they watch it on Telegram, which is free. And forget about the free-to-air stations. They are just depending on the olden day markets, right? And a station like Astro, it's I don't know what kind of innovation is going to come up for it to retain. But if the advertising revenue reaches to a point where it's making less than 300,000, it's not impossible for the whole industry to make
300 million, you mean?
300 million.
Yeah.
How are they going to sustain? Because this company their OPEX is much more bigger and everything else.
Okay. You see, logically, one would believe how you would allocate your advertising dollars between digital videos as well as the television terrestrial videos by looking at the viewers statistics, right? Now that's a huge mismatch. Okay, when you see 1.6 billion ringgit of advertising money has gone to digital and only 750 million left for TV stations, for example. Let's talk about the videos at TV stations, right? So that would suggest that what is that 1.6 60-70% has gone to digital and maybe 30-40% remain, right? Now, but when you look at the viewership statistics, it doesn't show that, you know. If you look at the viewership for free-to-air television, all the free-to-air combined for a particular day from morning all the way until midnight, when you accumulate the unique viewers, yeah? So that means if I watch 10 times, I'm only counted as one.
Oh.
Right? Okay. The unique viewers for free-to-air television daily is 11 million.
That's
That is
one
third of the population. But if you say, no, Johan, you cannot take 33 million, you need to minus out the babies and
the foreigners.
And foreigners and well, foreigners not counted in the 33 million. The old people in the hospital not watching TV and what have you, right? So let's say you reduce it from 33 million to 20 million. Even so, it's 50%, right? Of people watching television daily, unique viewers, right? Now, you compare it to Netflix. You know, Netflix claimed to be the biggest OTT. View also claimed to be the biggest OTT. And I was also the CEO for Tonton back then. I also claimed Tonton to be the biggest. Everybody claims that they are the champion of this world. The only champion is me because my name is Johan. Okay? Had to put that in. I had to put that in. Okay, so where was I? Oh yeah, okay. So let's just take Netflix. Netflix used to have 1 million subscribers, paying subscribers, right? Now it's no longer 1 million, it's probably less than that. Let's say if you take 1 million, if you subscribe to Netflix, you've got 4 square faces. That's one of yours, and then your wife, and then your kid, right? So you got 4. Let's say everybody in the household, one using laptop, one using phone and whatever,
iPad,
yeah? So all 4 of a particular account, paying account, watches it. So let's say you've got 1 million paying accounts, times 4, you've got 4 million. Even if everybody on Netflix watch it every night, it's still 4 million. They cannot match the 11 million unique viewers on TV. So hence, this is where the confusion is. So why is the advertising revenue not being allocated accordingly, right? It's because suddenly there's this craze, this digital focus, this the left brain thinking that I was mentioning about, the matrix, the KPI performance matrix for the chief marketing officers and what have you has shifted, and which means it's not the Netflix of the world. It is the social media of this world, the TikToks, the Instagram, the Facebook, and what have you. And what is sad about this for the creative industry is because the conventional channels or medium requires you to invest in the content. You take script writers, you take proper directors with FDAM certificates or whatever, and you take experienced casting, actresses and all that, and you have to pay for that, right? Whereas in social media, you can just be any idiot who just do stupid jokes, just put it and becomes a content. You don't even need to have the qualification for it, right? So that's the shift that you see. So much so that the artists of the current world it's losing the momentum of income generation. Yeah.
It's very true, because I believe if Pyramid was alive today, he would be irrelevant if he doesn't have a TikTok account.
Yeah. So it's a sad case. Right. But like I said, if you leave it to an open market, I don't think it can improve. Perhaps some affirmative action needs to be taken. Yeah.
I do see the effect of this kind of social media, where I see certain top actors in Malaysia selling rendang, selling sambal.
They have to, because they don't have stable income.
Yeah, and I'm like, wait, didn't you just have a very big hit movie? Why are you doing this? But bills got to be paid, right? So the reality is such. Yeah. So let's round up this part and move on to another part. Yeah. So what are your honest hopes for our industry, our creative industry?
Okay. Oh, wow. so many things to say. I've written letters to 4 different communication ministers in the past 10 years.
Anyone responded?
Nobody responded. Okay, there are a few things. Number one is to look at the bad fang I mentioned earlier, to take some actions, at least if not fully, partially, just to reduce the impact of them coming into the country. That's one. Number two is to relook at the prohibitions for some advertising regulations, right? The case in point would be, for example, advertisers, the big advertisers, namely, because of their international policy, they are not supposed to advertise products with sugar, with MSG, with fat and what have you, to audience that are aged 14 and below. If the particular content has got more than 20% of that age group. So I find myself facing advertisers who didn't even want to put advertisements on Bulletin Utama on TV3. I said, why? So because of that, I said, what? So I asked my team to go and check the statistic, and sure enough, kids age 14 and below accounts for more than 20%.
Yeah, you watch news together with your family, right?
Because the dad will call the kids, come sit next to me and watch the news, learn something. So suddenly it became that, and then advertisements couldn't come in from the fast-moving consumer goods.
God.
Right? Only the local companies that do not have these policies, they do put in advertisements. But that is one example. So that's that. Then the other one is in terms of censorship. Now, censorship for certain bad influences that the young generation could pick up from television, right? It's being filtered, right, through LPF, Lembaga Penapisan Film, right? But if you do that, the digital content gets away with murder. So where is the level playing field? It's either you loosen up from TV or you make the digital as equally strict, right? So you got to balance that, or maybe do both. Increase the regulation for digital and reduce for TV and make it level playing field. So that's one. And the issue with that is the Lembaga Penapisan Film. It's under Kementerian Dalam Negeri. TV, MCMC and all that, the licensing for television and digital and all that are under communications. And now it's even worse because there's another ministry.
Another sub-ministry, yes.
Yeah, YB Gobin, right?
Yes, I'm like, he has a telecommunication part.
Yeah, so and what makes it even worse, there's another kementerian that is separate to that looks after a very important element of the creative industry, for which my IPO, the Intellectual Property Organization for Malaysia, my IPO, it's under, the new name is KUSKOP, whatever kementerian is it, Kementerian Usahawan Koperasi. Yeah? So it's under that. So how do you synchronize the 4 kementerians, the 4 ministries to tackle certain things? And now that I'm talking about this 4 kementerian, I remembered battling with piracy. Okay, because if you have a pirated content on pirate platforms, you need to get these agencies that are under the different ministries to synchronize before you can pull down that pirated sites, right?
Oh my!
Imagine if it's live.
Oh.
Sports, live World Cup and all that. There are so many pirated sites across the globe where you can watch a particular football game, right? You can watch it, and then it will get pulled down by, I don't know, let's say you watch a pirated site in Russia, and it gets pulled down by the Russian authorities, and then you go to the Japan pirated site, and then you watch for another 15 minutes, and it got pulled down by the Japanese authorities. You escape from one country to another, you will be able to watch the entire football game. It's just that it's in different language. So how do you do that? So when I battled that, me and Dato' Izam Omar, so we tried to battle piracy. So we went after the platforms that put TV3's drama without permission. So I actually went there. Me and Dato' Izam went to their office. We looked for the office. We went there. We confronted them. We said we're going to take legal action if you don't work together with us. Now, I was willing to legalize that to a certain extent, to say that you can have agreement with us, let us put on TV first, right? And then subsequently we'll give the window for you, but we sign an agreement where we share revenue from your side. So in a way that it will make it less pirate.
Right.
Okay. So it's just like Barbie dolls that sells original Barbie dolls, but also open another company that sells imitation Barbie dolls, but they still get their money, right? Yeah. So we were trying to do that, trying to battle the what do you call pirates, and coincidentally when I was trying to battle with the pirates, Media Prima got hit with the worst ransomware ever hit a Malaysian company per MCMC's cyber security team in the country. So the entire Media Prima got hit by ransomware. We didn't pay a single cent. We took the opportunity to make sure that the critical the database is being protected, and then whatever that is being ransomware, we just let go, and we took the opportunity to change the entire system for Media Prima for a better cybersecurity configuration. So that's how much problems we would face if there are multiple kementerians, multiple ministry to work together to even fight things like this. How do you do that? You need to synchronize. Right. So that needs a affirmative action within the government ministries to battle it.
I think we better send this to certain ministers. We pre-edited just this part and send it over.
Sure, say it from Johan Ishak. Since many of the ministers got problem with me when I say the truth of the market of the industry. Yeah.
No, but I think that is what is lacking, because I was at a conference recently. So there was somebody from LPF. And he was making a statement. He's saying LPF is trying to cover things. Tapi kita tutup satu lubang kat sini buka lagi 20. So kita nak serahkan kepada penonton untuk, okay, fine. You realize it's a losing battle. So why not loosen the regulation for the country or find ways around it, right? Because you're stifling something which you don't really understand. And I also see the disconnect because, again, having left and basically it's like 12 years just left, come back, and I'm like, how did it get so much more worse in 12 years? So that was the mindset. And when I go to this conference, I can see oh my God, there's so much disconnect. This agency doesn't talk to this agency, but they're all part of the same industry, right? So I see where you're coming from there. Well, let's hope things get better. Otherwise, we just have to continue giving to bad Fang. Maybe there'll be another bad Fang. Yeah. Okay. All right. So now that you're no longer actively involved in that part, what do you actually do? I see about Ganat Ventures, right? It's a digital signage corporation.
Yeah. So I've been in the creative industry for quite some time, right? I was involved in the initial group of professional and consultants to create Media Prima Berhad. I wasn't in Media Prima. I was from PricewaterhouseCoopers as the reporting accountant, combined with the lawyers, merchant bankers, and what have you. Because at that time, if you remember 1999, year 2000, it was Asian economic crisis.
Correct.
A lot of listed companies in Malaysia face the risk of PN 17. That's the equivalent of the American Chapter 11.
Chapter 11, yes, right.
11,
Bankruptcy,
right. So they had to restructure a lot of companies under the CDRC, Corporate Debt Restructuring Committee, right? When they created Dana Harta and what else? Dana Harta. There's a few more Dana. Okay. So I was involved in the creative industry back then, in terms of the professional accountant point of view. Then I went to the UK, and my client portfolio was also similar because I did work for the international film companies, right? For the Hollywood movies. Also book companies like Penguin, Pearson, advertising agencies like IPG, McCann Erickson, and a bit of telco and cable and wireless and all that. So it's pretty much of the same nature, right? So when I came back to Malaysia, still in PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, I get the same sort of clients, TV3, New Straits Times, Astro, a bit of Maxis, a bit of Telecom, and Unify TV and all of that. and Datuk Rahman, at that time Encik Rahman, who was the managing director for Media Prima Group, right? So that was 10 years after the creation of Media Prima, so that they avoid TV3 being bankrupt and reverse the listing into this new entity called Media Prima. So after 10 years, when they look at the financial statements and they say, how did we come up with this? Who structured all this? You know,
Right.
The answer is he is the one who structured all those instruments. I translated into financial statements, right? So they say, oh, this dude named Johan in PwC 10 years ago. Say, oh, okay, I need him to restructure all this because after 10 years it has become a bit obsolete, right? It doesn't match what Media Prima was at that time, 10 years after its creation. So I was still in PwC. So they called me. They said, hey, come into Media Prima, become the head of finance. So I came in and did another round of restructuring of Media Prima 10 years after, right? So I did that restructuring for about 3 years. That is when Media Prima fully absorbed another listed company called the New Straits Times. So we had to privatize New Straits Times, and of course, finance department plays a very important role to synchronize the culture between two listed companies, which is Media Prima or / TV3, System Television Malaysia Berhad, and the New Straits Times Group, which consists of the New Straits Times, not Utusan, Berita Harian, Harian Metro, and at that time they had already sold off Malay Mail, right? So it became a bit problematic because it's culture related, and mind you, TV3 was created out of the boardroom of NST during the Daim Zainuddin of Fleet Group years, right? So here you have Media Prima or / TV3, who was born out of NSTP's boardroom, right? And then now buying NST, taking over NST. So obviously you can see the struggle politically and corporate wise in terms of merging those two. So that's how I got myself involved, and I thought it would end there, as a finance guy in Media Prima, and I thought I would move on after that to another listed company, which may not be media. I don't know, maybe CFO of plantation company or
or something.
mining company, or go back to Petronas where I should have where I started off, after uni. But the Ministry of Finance called me in to say that we need to structure a modal troca, or in English it's called venture capital, specialized for the creative industry. This is what we call affirmative action.
Right.
I like that word affirmative action because it is truly affirmative action. Why? Because the bankers, the normal banks, or even the investors, they are allergic to creative business. The risk factor of creative businesses were very high. It's easier to get a loan for a nasi lemak restaurant compared to a production house, right? So I created the model for my creative ventures. It doesn't follow the banking framework. It needed to be out of that framework, out of the Bank Negara's framework, out of the Money Lending License Act framework, out of Securities Commission, out of every single red tape, regulation, whatever there is, in order for it to behave in an affirmative action manner, right? To demonstrate this, for example, if you take a loan from a bank, you are supposed to pay them back every month certain amount installment for whatever years. Whereas if the loan is being given by my creative ventures, we will study the behavior of your cash flow, and then we will match the repayment of that loan accordingly based on the behavior of that particular sub-industry. Two examples that can demonstrate this. Fashion designers, they only work on, spring, summer, autumn, winter. Right. So the 2 cycles of collection. So therefore, they cannot be 12 installment. They cannot be a monthly payment. It needs to follow that. Filmmakers, you produce films, your pre-production is how many months? Production, how many months? Post-production. And then marketing. And then you go to the cinema. Then you have to wait for the cinema to do their internal audit and what have you. And then you pay entertainment tax or whatever. Then only you will get your share as the owner of the content, which is How many months after the take up of the loan? What, 18 months?
Yeah.
So therefore, the repayment of the loan taken from affirmative action type financing company needs to emulate that. So the payment is based on that. So this is how it was done. So the two examples are for films and fashion designers, but we study the rest. We study the crafts, we study the theater, music, and all the other pillars of the creative industry. So that was my involvement. Pretty much both sides, from financing to managing the media company. And then, of course, they brought me back into Media Prima as the CEO of TV networks. And then I survived 3 prime ministers or 3 governments as CEO of the largest TV station. But I didn't survive the change of shareholder when the Syed Mota Group took over. So they put their own management team. So the old guards left. So I left. So I was unemployed. Pretty scary period not to be employed because you have to pay things every month, but you don't have income, right? So there was a new TV station who wanted my help to start the station. So I went in. It's called Awesome TV. So started from scratch and built it for about 4 years until it became the second largest Malay TV station in Malaysia, overtaking all of Astro's and channel and all of RTM's. And it's probably number 3 if you put 8TV in there, because 8TV is also quite strong, but mass Chinese, right? Then after 4 years, I left, because I felt that okay. So somehow, because I think I'm more inclined to structuring, and once it becomes stabilized, life will get so boring. So I left, and I didn't work. At this time, I happily didn't want to work because I already felt tired, lethargic for working.
It sounds
for
exhausting.
Exhausting for 26 years. So I relaxed a bit, and then a few people from the industry came to me and asked me, "You shouldn't relax because you're still young." I said, "No, I'm not young. No, you're still young. So come and work. Come together with us. We do another exercise since you like all these restructuring things." So
Do you like it?
Yes, of course. I like my biggest client when I was in PwC was not TV3. It was Dana Harta. So that's fantastic because that is a restructuring for the whole country's finance industry, right? So Ganat came into picture when Datuk Gan, the late Datuk Gan, passed away, and so we discussed the future of Ganat with the family, and so a few of us came in. So change of shareholding structures and all that. So it's still being structured at the moment, where we are no longer just out of home billboards. We become the media activator for all the platforms, be it TV, radio, even KOL influencers, Nafneng, digital platforms, on-ground activation, newspapers still, if people still want to advertise. So it's a combination of both. Of course, billboards, we do own our own sites, but we also have MOU with the other billboard owners. Digital platforms, we will own some sites. We are doing the restructuring now, and we also sign MOU with the likes of the Newswave or the Malay Mail Group, and newspapers also who are also in the digital space. Like you've got Utusan Online, Star Online. So we've got MOU with all those people. And even the Berita Harian, if they want Media Prima, we can still do, but we haven't done the proper MOU with Media Prima yet. So we become the jack of all trades, where we try to give a full 360-degree media solution for advertisers. So the good thing about being in that role is that we bridge above the conflict of interest level, right? So because for us, we will study the product and we will say, best if you advertise on Astro, best if you advertise on RTM, right?
So that's where you come in.
Yeah.
You really advise them, like, you know what, this is your product. Yeah. This is where you should go.
Yeah. So because if you come from the sales team of a particular company, right? Let's say, for example, Astro, you will not sell RTM. In fact, you cannot sell because it's against the company's policy, and it's it shouldn't be that way, right? But for us, because we are an agent where we can go everywhere, so we will make a more transparent and more independent valuation of how the marketing dollars should be spread.
So let's say I have a product, and the product is let's say it's 8 episodes miniseries, and it's shot with the Malaysian context primarily. And then I come to your agency, Ghana Adventures. So you pretty much tell me like, you know what, you should spend this much advertising dollar on this particular thing, and this is the right channel for it, etc., etc.
Yeah,
based on data that you actually have.
based on data, because you see, when you look at the data, you will appreciate things that people do not know. Okay, like for example, out of 10 people that I asked whether they've heard of, whether they know who is the number one ranking TikTok from a Malaysian publisher, nobody knows the answer. The answer is Utusan TV TikTok. Nobody would have guessed it.
Wow.
Even me, when I got to know it, I was like, whoa, wow.
Utusan
TV. It's not Utusan as you know it. It's not the blue color logo Utusan. It's the yellow color Utusan. Utusan TV. It's a different company from the Utusan that we know. Yeah. So it's the number one ranking. You know, there's one video that was viral from Utusan TV's TikTok, which is the akad nikah of a Muslim guy. He said, aku terima nikahnya dengan mas kahwin 250 juta.
Yes,
He
I saw
accidentally said a juta instead of just 250 ringgit. Right. Yeah. So that's an example of what you can conclude when you look at the data. I mean, for example, the data I mentioned earlier about 11 million unique viewers watching free-to-air TV. It's still high, you know, compared to a maximum 4 million if everybody on Netflix watches Netflix, right? Now, nobody would have guessed it unless you look at the data, right? So, if people around us, especially in Klang Valley, would say nobody watch TV anymore, everybody watch Netflix, everybody not watch Netflix. That's because you see people around you. You are in Klang Valley, go to Teluk Intan, go to Segamat, go to Muar, go to, I don't know, Gua Musang, whatever. It's different.
So there is still potential for that market to grow based on the data of that.
It's potential because of the viewership, but if the behavior of the advertisers, spread everything on foreign digital platform, I would say that's a lazy attitude, I think. Right. Yeah. You know why? Because it's cheap.
Yes, way cheap acquisition cost.
It's cheap, right? Yeah. So how do you fight that battle, man?
Yeah. No, because every product, not only in the film industry, even when I do coaching or consulting for business clients, they would always say like, no, Amar, I need to allocate a budget for my SOCMAT, social media team. And I'm like, how are you coming up with these numbers? When I question them, no, because everybody's on it. Like, but where is this everybody? Is this one guy named everybody, or is it like really everybody? So there's no how they get these numbers, this data is a perception. There's a lot of just perception.
You need somebody to tell you, okay, you want to put on social media, where are you putting it? I'm putting it on Utusan TV TikTok because Utusan TV TikTok has 328 million likes since it started 2 years ago. Oh,
wow.
Really? Wow. And then you go yourself into TikTok and look at it and say, oh, right, 328 million likes. Yeah. So you need that kind of information. Now, there is an issue in terms of the numbers because doesn't matter whether the number is accurate or not. As long as it is a currency accepted by the market, therefore it is true, inverted comma. So it doesn't matter whether US dollars is a crap currency or not.
Right.
But because the whole entire world uses it, we will still continue to use US dollars. So it's the same mentality, right? So whether or not it's accurate or not, it's secondary. It needs to be accepted, right? So the media, the digital media have got their own way of calculating or measuring the viewership or visitors for the digital platforms. And because they are so big that they have the gangsterism attitude of, this is my number, okay? You are not allowed to audit it. take it or leave it.
Very mafia cartel.
Exactly. But whereas for the TV industry, you have to either use Nielsen audience measurement, or in the case of Astro, they use Kanta audience measurement. And then the radio stations, they use GFK survey. And then the newspapers, they used to use the estimation of newspaper readership by the Audit Bureau of Statistics. I'm not sure what they use now. Now I think they use Nielsen. And then you have radio, TV, newspapers, outdoor billboards. It's less systematic because each of the outdoor billboard companies, they hire their own consultant to trace or to track the traffic cars moving on the road in the close proximity of each of the billboard sites, right? And then every now and then they will refresh that statistics. So first of all, between the different media platforms, we've got different currencies, right, being used. Radio, they track weekly. TV is daily. Digital is monthly. So it makes it a bit difficult trying to synchronize the measurement. So that's why you need a different matrix for the different platform. So I think if we want to move further, we need to figure out how to synchronize all this. And then when you synchronize, it needs to be fair, right? Not many people know that when you say one view on digital has got a different quality to one view on TV. One view on TV, when I was the CEO of a TV station, it was you need to get 60 seconds of viewership of people watching it before you consider as one view. Facebook, Google, YouTube, God knows what it is now. It used to be 5 seconds. It used to be 7 seconds.
3 seconds now.
I don't know what it is. Now the TV measurement system has changed. Instead of 60 seconds, it changes to 15 seconds. It's still non-level playing field compared to bloody 5 seconds or 7 seconds. So I'm not sure. Don't quote me on the number of seconds for Facebook, Google, YouTube. But that was what it was previously. Now they may have changed. So that needs to happen. The industry needs to evolve to synchronize all that across all the different media platforms. But we have problems within a particular platform as well. For example, like the TV platform. So you've got the Media Prima stations measured by Nielsen, and then you have Astro measured by Kanta.
Right, different matrix.
So if the results are comparable, then it's okay, you know. So you've got the same program, the same timing. One method says 1 million, the other method says 3 million. So you have the discrepancy of the two different systems, right? So it makes it even more difficult to rely on a particular currency. So it become a dual currency. Imagine in this country, we buy and sell things using Ringgit Malaysia and using Thai baht. It's just gonna be problematic.
Chaos,
there are countries that uses two currency, but they are of equal value. For example, the Bank of England and Bank of Scotland, they issue British pounds and Scottish pounds, but it is of the equal value, so there's no problem, right? So that needs to be synchronized. I think the Ministry of Communication or the MCMC, the commission,
even the ministries, we are not synchronized.
They need to it is in the process, but they need to expedite on the synchronization of first the TV audience measurement, then TV versus digital video audience measurement. So that needs to happen pretty fast. If not, the advertisers will just put their money on the what do you call the social media of the foreign companies.
Because entertainment in this case, as you put it very eloquently with numbers and data, it's not just pelakon, buat drama. No, it's actual money. It's livelihoods of businesses and businessmen and people who work for that and everything else. It's the ripple effect is going to be horrendous, right? Like what you're seeing right now with TikTok Shop and Tekan Beg Kuning, or you know, it's destroying a lot of regular retailers. You cannot match up to it.
Disruptive behavior, disruptive evolution. Well, I mean, you talk about people talk about untrained content producers on social media, where the trained or the qualified content producers are losing money, right? But you talk about humanity as a whole, we're gonna lose it to the AIs,
Yes.
right? I compose songs for new artists. So when I compose song, I will take my guitar and try to come up with a melody. Start with the chorus first, and then start writing lyrics, poetic lyrics. The process of the process of completing a song is very much right brain, very creative, right? Now you can go to the AI and say, I want to create a song in the A minor chord progression, and the progression needs to be in minor, and it needs to be certain beat, right? And um, and you will have AI picking up all sorts of chords progression and melodies from the entire world, from the digital database that it can grab, right? And you can also say, okay, write lyric about a sad couple that broke off because of whatever. Write it in Bahasa Malaysia, and it will write, and then you will say, oh, this is too formal. Can the AI write a bit more Bahasa Pasar, for example? And it will change, and then voila, you get a song. So how are composers gonna make money? I just had a conversation with Datuk Noman KRU. There's a new technology coming on board where you don't even need the artist to be on stage to perform. You use a hologram and project it. The artist. I mean, if you look at the KRU brothers, they are, how old are they? Like 50 something, right? So you can project KRU on the stage, but it's not the 50-year-old KRU, but they change it, go back to the 20-year-old KRU and put it on stage. I think they've done it for Michael Jackson once, right? They projected on the stage. So once it becomes that, in fact, in Korea, there is already concerts for AI artists.
Right.
Yeah.
AR
So that's scary. That is scary.
So A.R. Rahman has brought back a lot of dead artists as AI now. There was a recent Indian movie that came out. A lot of the dead stars were brought back to life with AI.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's I started getting back into directing, and before, if I want to do a script, it'll take me a while. I need to get a lot of collaborators and everything else. I finished the whole thing from beginning to conceptualization, just the pre-production. Took me less than 4 hours. I just various AIs.
Yes.
And had it pitched, had it casted, shot it in 2 days. Took about another 4 days to edit it with AI. It was all like, wow.
Yeah.
And if this is so as a producer, now I'm thinking like, wait, I can cut so much corner. I don't have to hire so much more people. But eventually, I know this AI thing is gonna bite me back in the ass because it's gonna eliminate me. So we don't need directors anymore.
Yeah.
We don't need writers anymore. We'll do everything for you. Kind of like a Terminator coming to life.
Yeah, it's like the Matrix.
Yes. By the way, did you see Elon Musk's We Robot launch?
I didn't see that, but I saw the rocket that came
Where
back
it was,
to.
it was caught.
Yeah.
So over the weekend, Elon Musk launched something called We Robot, which he emulated from the iRobot movies. And these robots sound very human. They make you drinks.
Yeah.
And I'm like I saw this movie once and it didn't end well for the humans.
There was one with Robin Williams. Whatever it's
Right.
called.
Yeah. Bicentennial Man.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's scary because we will be living in a virtual world, right? There was one technology that I thought would grow tremendously and become as strong as AI, but somehow it didn't. It got paused in its development, which is the NFT.
Right. Yeah.
That would have been fantastic because NFT would have taken away a lot of issues that is relating to the physical restrictive elements like documents, papers, and all that. So instead of a passport or IC, you will have digital documents, but the security is protected by NFT technology, right? Because it uses blockchain and all that. So that would have been something good if it had developed further. But NFT didn't go anywhere.
It's kind of like died off.
Yes, kind of. I did a lot of my art in NFT and probably about 300 NFT art. Wow. I only sold one.
But that's the thing with digital, right?
Yeah.
You always roll your dice, see what it gets. So what's next for Johan Ishak?
What is next? I think at this age, the assignment of doing restructuring, I think this will be the final project. Restructure Ganat. bring it to the next level, and grow it to be a force to be reckoned with in the market. I hope that we can be as big as the giants like Astro Media Prima, The Star, and all that, and one of the names. Yeah, so that we can call it the big four, big five in the industry, right? But at the same time, we cannot ignore digital. As much as I feel negatively about digital, but because we cannot ignore, you can't beat them, you join them, right? But we do it in a very what's the word? Symbiotic approach, right? So that's why Ganat, we purposely do it in a way where we still use all the platforms and do a best combination of the media platforms for the advertisers. So much so that for digital or social media in particular, we have in our Ganat universe, I call it, MOU with a company called Example. Now, Example is Malaysian company operated in Malaysia but listed in Australia in ASX. And within Example, the biggest brand that they have is called Nafnang. And Nafnang is the management of KOLs and influencers for advertising purpose. So we're happy that we've got MOU with Example, and then as well as their sister company called Commerce.Asia, for which it translates from the KOL or influencers marketing approach on social media into an e-commerce conversion to sales on digital platforms. So we have that. We have still the conventional like TV, radio, ground activation, newspapers as well, right? So that's Ganat. So that's my next move, together with my other colleagues who are my fellow shareholders in Ganat, inclusive of the son of Datuk Gan, who's also together with us. So we're gonna bring Ganat to the next level.
All right. So Ganat is gonna be your moving to the next legacy, sort of.
I think after Ghana, I will probably be too tired to think of anything else, and probably I'll end up being an artist. Maybe find a place where I can retire and just do paintings.
Go back to Penang, maybe.
Maybe not Penang, because the motorists there are crazy. There are two motorists. I can say this because I'm from Penang. Right? There are two states where if you see the plate number P or J, they drive. Or another one in Singapore actually. They drive like a madman. I can't drive in Penang, man. It's crazy, man. I was thinking more of Langkawi,
Right.
and then do paintings and try to become a painter, because there are other professionals who stop doing their professional work and become professional artists, like Ahmad Zaki, for example. He was an architect. Then he became an artist. I'm not an architect, I'm an accountant, but I think creative accounting is the closest I can match with the painting, right? But I love art, that's why I get myself involved in composing songs for new artists, writing books. I've composed 8 songs, I've written 8 books, and I've done 8 shows, so it's 888. So the Chinese call it fat. 888. It means rich. Money.
Wow.
So maybe I will continue from there.
Okay, Johan, thank you very much for coming to our podcast.
My pleasure.
And I've learned a lot in terms of data matrix. It's seriously a numbers game.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so everyone, tell me what else you want me to show on our podcast. And like I said, Empire Podcast, we help you broadcast your podcast. Until the next episode, thank you.